Now welcome all students of Standard 9. Now this is the fourth video of this poem, The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. Now in the first, second, third video, that's a syllabus poem about the author and that's the first stanzas. Now in this video, we know that's our remaining stanzas. So let's start. So here that's the first stanza already clear. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. And be one traveler, long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. So in that stanzas we know that's the meanings line by lines also. Now that's next stanzas. Then took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better calms. Calm that means peace. So in that stanzas, the poet kept on looking at one path for a long time to check if it is the right path for him or not. So this is right, you're wrong, right, you're wrong. So here the poet that's in a dilemma that means a confusion. Then took the other. So in that's one time they took that's one and that's then other. So as far as where, and having perhaps the better comes, and then after they decided, so that he decided and started walking on another path, not that's the first path, another path, because he felt that the both paths were equally good. He says that as far as fair, so he felt that both paths were equally good and started walking on one of them. So that's whenever in front of us there are the two options and both options, so that's a similar to each other. So on the time we are totally confused because as far as I took, that's both are equally as fair as, and that we start here, that's he felt that both paths were equally good and started walking on one of them. He adds that maybe he felt that the path was better for him, so he chose it as it had grass on it, which means that it was unused. That means here, because it was grazy and wanted wear. So here that's grazy, that means had grass on it, which means that it was unused path. Not many people had walked on this path earlier, that is why this path was grazy. So unused path already you find that's a grazy, and here you find because it was grazy and wanted wear, though as far that the passing there had warned them really about the same. So wanted wear means that means it was not walked over by many people. After he walked on the path for some distance, he realized that, oh, both the paths had been worn out the same way. Both the paths were similar and worn out, even in our life. So, whenever we compare, so no doubt this is a title of this poem, The Road Not Taken, but we always think that's here not a road, that's a journey of our life. So, even in our life, we take any path or option, but all of them have the same benefits, disadvantages, problems, challenges, and we must face them. So we think that we are choosing a better option, but it is not that way. So dear friends, in front of us also, so we are have no more idea about that's what happened in that way. Yeah, but as far as I could think it, so I think that's second stanza, that's a clear yet. And in the third stanza, and both that morning equally lay in leaves, no step had trodden black. So no steps. That means very few people have already used used this path. So the poet says that both the paths were similar, that the morning both had leaves on them, and no one had stepped on them. They were still green in color. Oh, I kept the first for another day, at knowing how way leads on to way. I doubted if I should ever come back. If I should ever come back. So here the poet says that, so that day, so both are still green in color. He decided that that day he could take one path and keep the other path for another day. Although he knew that one way leads on to another way, he knew that he could not go back and on the choice that he had made. Because similarly, even in our life, so similarly we find even in our life, once we choose an option, once we choose any option, yeah, so we must keep on moving ahead with that option, and we never get a chance to come back and take the other option that we had left earlier. Suppose that after after intermediate, if you choose that, oh, I want to be a that's a doctor, and you take the stream of science with bio, and you do a study hard, very hard, and you spend that's 4 years, 5 years, yeah, then after 5 and 6 years you decide, no, 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 I want to be an engineer. So that's a possible, so that's very impossible, because, and you know, that's in a starting time you are totally confused. Yeah, I want to be a doctor, yeah, an engineer. So after choosing that options, so that's a very tough to come back. So in that fourth stanza, we see, I shall be telling this with a sigh. With a sigh. Sigh, that means, you know, that's a deep breath. Somewhere, ages and ages hence. Ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged. Two road diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that he made all the differences. All the differences. That means here in that fourth snare, he says that in that the future, he will take a deep breath and say that once upon a time he had reached such a point in life that there were two options for him, and he traveled on that road which had been traveled by lesser in number of people. That decisions of his decided his future. That's your decision decides your future. Similarly, in future, when you grow up, then you will say that once upon a time when you were young and you had two options, the choice that you made made you what you become of it. This is a very strong message. So overall we find that's a very strong message. So already in that's your class, in your schools, almost time that's your teachers, and in that home your parents, uh, uh, that's already gave some examples relate to on life, because in that young age in front of us there are the two options also. So on the time we take more and more time, then after we take options, yeah, and that options decide our futures. So at last, this poem give a very strong message for all students, that you should be wise and be careful while making choice out of the options that you have in your life, because your future depends on the choice that you make today. So dear students, I hope that you understand this poem and you take benefit of this poem also. So overall, so I think that's this is the second stanza's now use names. Then took the other as just as fair and having perhaps the better comes, because it was greasy and wanted wear, though as far that the passing there had warned them really about the same. So here comes, that's here means and from a right to traveling on, that's here. And that's the last stanza you find out here. I shall be telling this with a sigh, with a sigh. So the speaker will tell the story with a sigh of regret. Regret. That means, lamentations. So we should have loved to have traveled along the other path to see where it would take him and how it could have influenced me. So I hope that's each and every students must you note down that's a sketch also. And after after this video, we know that their summary, and that's a strong message. A strong message already, that's a clear. So once again, so you may also write down that's a message for all students that you making choice. That's that you should be wise and be careful why making choice out of the options that you have in your life, because your futures depends on the choice that you should make today. Okay, so summary, that's the next video. Okay, bye.